how to spot a fake chosen one. Jesus gave a parable of whereby the wheat and the tares were growing together. And then he said that you cannot distinguish the difference between the two before it's harvest time. So during the harvest, that is when you will distinguish the wheat from the tares. So it's easy to tell from the results, like what spiritual fruit is this someone producing in their ministry. Let me give you an example. There are two groups of ministers that are described. So the first group, we see them described in verse 24. So this group is said that out of zeal, they went out and they went to Antioch and began to minister, to preach. I mean, they went out to do the Lord's business. But I want you to mark the word, they went out. They were not sent. They went out of zeal. They were self-appointed. They sent themselves. What was the result of their ministry? That verse 24 said that they troubled with words. They were subverting souls. They taught the wrong doctrine, and there was no such commandments that they taught. In other words, their ministry ended up confusing the listeners. Their ministry ended up creating chaos. Their ministry did not bear any beneficial, transformative spiritual fruit. So they went out without spirit endorsement, and that is why their ministry was empty of grace and they were full of error. Then in the same chapter, in verse 22 and 23, another group is described, and this group is described as they were sent out of the company of the elders, the apostles, and the church. So they were sent out, not like the first group who went out of zeal or out of their own self-appointment or appointment by men. These ones were sent out. They were ordained. They were commissioned. And the results of the ministry of this second group is very different from the first one. For instance, in Ephesus, Paul encountered a witchcraft-dominated community, but he was able to disarm them. This is because these were not men that self-appointed themselves. They were not men that went out just because of zeal or gifting or endorsement by men. But these were men that were backed up by authority of the Holy Spirit. So whichever problem they were encountered, they were able to deal with it because they had the spiritual capacity to deal with these things.